This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. My fiancée announced with her first love at her side. From now on, Tony will serve as the vice president. All my colleagues looked at me in shock, as I am currently the vice president. She seemed to have forgotten that the company's current scale is due to my wholehearted contributions. I decisively let go. Fine, from now on, you are you, and I am me. We have no further relations. When I returned to my company, she was crying and begging me, please come back. The company really can't do without you. I pulled my arm away from her embrace and coldly said, I'm sorry, we are just strangers now. When I returned to the company, excited with the signed contract, I found everyone looking at me with sympathetic eyes. I felt confused. What happened? They shook their heads, hesitant to speak, signaling me to find out for myself. A bad feeling rose in my heart. I hurried to my office, only to find all my things thrown out, piled up like a small mountain at the entrance. My gaze slowly shifted from the pile to the inside of the office. A man was smiling as he came out, with Haley leaning against him. Haley looked at him with affectionate eyes, full of love. He greeted me with a broad smile. Oh, isn't this Rocky? It's been a long time. I didn't even look at him and asked Haley, why is he here? Haley frowned and said, Rocky, how can you speak like that? Can you be a bit more polite? Polite? I almost laughed in anger. Is Haley a fish with a 7-second memory? Doesn't she remember how she was dumped? Tony smugly boasted to me, Rocky, you've been demoted. Now I am the vice president of H Corporation. All my colleagues looked at us with surprised expressions since the vice president position is currently mine. I held back my anger and asked Haley, is what he said true? Haley seemed a bit guilty, her eyes darting away from mine. Tony tilted his head back, his nostrils flaring. Haley is the one in charge here. It's just a personnel change. Do I need to report to you? Upon hearing this, Haley seemed to find her backbone and replied, yes, I'm about to issue the appointment letter. Tony is the vice president, and you are his assistant, assisting him from the side. Tony as vice president? I burst out laughing at both of them. Are you telling this year's new joke? Tony is the vice president? Are you sure he has the ability to sit in that chair? Hearing my rude question, Tony's face turned red. Rocky, don't get too cocky. You've only been at H Corporation a few more years than I have. Just give me some time, and I can definitely do better than you. He really has a thick skin to say such things without blinking. The colleagues around didn't know Tony well, assuming he was just a big shot hired by Haley. Even Haley, who knew the truth, looked at him with admiration. Yes, I believe in Tony's ability. He can definitely do it. Tony became even more smug. His little smug face made me want to rip off his skin and stomp on it. I stared at her blankly. Haley, don't forget what your dad said. My family and Haley's family have known each other since our grandfather's time, but our relationship has always been distant. We would nod and greet each other when we met, but it was never warm. The turning point was when I was 17. My dad died in a landslide while on a business trip. My mom couldn't bear the blow and soon passed away from grief. Partners who had good relations with our corporation withdrew their investments, leading to a financial crisis that nearly bankrupted our corporation. I tried to raise funds everywhere, but people refused to meet me once they heard I was from the Rockies family. On the contrary, it was Henry, who had never been close to our corporation, who injected a large sum of money, bringing our corporation back to life. Henry had a daughter, and that was Haley. When I went to thank him, Henry said he only had one condition. That was that I must take care of his daughter Haley in the future. Henry said he had pancreatic cancer and could live for at most 6 months. He hoped I could take care of Haley and H Corporation after his death, given that he had saved our corporation. I asked him, Henry, you must have many close friends. Why choose me? After all, I was just a 17-year-old boy at the time, and it seemed unreasonable to entrust his daughter to me. Henry looked at me for a long time before saying, money moves people's hearts. For Haley, H Corporation is both a lifeline and a death knell. I have observed you for a long time. Your character is definitely qualified, and your abilities are sufficient. You just lack experience. I will protect our corporation for the next 6 months. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. In exchange, you can marry my daughter. I agreed. Henry kept his word, teaching me everything he knew during that half year. Through my interactions with Haley's family, I grew familiar with her. I also gradually understood Henry's concerns. Haley lost her mother at a young age, so she was pampered by Henry and had never faced any hardship. Moreover, she had no interest in business. She preferred art instead. At present, it seems that Haley does not have the ability to stabilize as the position of CEO of H Corporation. After Henry passed away, Haley cried hoarsely in my arms. "Rocky, my mother is gone, and my father has followed. I have no other relatives left." I silently held her in my arms. "Don't be afraid. Rocky will protect you from now on." After that, I forced Haley to study management, learn stock analysis, and study negotiation tactics. It seems Haley really didn't inherit Henry's business acumen. After a few years of study, she barely passed every exam. Each time I held a book to teach her, she would tug on my sleeve, pouting, "I don't like this stuff." Anyway, with Rocky here, it's fine if I don't manage the company. In the end, she stubbornly transferred to the art department. That's where she met Tony and fell head over heels for him. At that time, they swore in front of me that their love would last forever and begged me not to separate them. I thought Haley was still young and that the more I tried to stop her, the more she would go against me. So, I didn't hold her back, but I also deliberately went abroad to expand our corporation's territory and handed H Corporation over to her to try taking charge. As long as she was busy, who would care about dating? Unexpectedly, Haley made the wrong decision and messed up H Corporation, nearly leading it down the same path our corporation had faced years ago. Haley wasn't worried because she knew I would be there to prevent H Corporation from collapsing. But Tony didn't know any of this. He only knew that H Corporation was going bankrupt and that Haley was going to be broke. So, he sent Haley a breakup text without hesitation, blacklisted her on all platforms, and vanished from her world. I returned and worked for 2 months to save H Corporation. But Haley didn't care about the company at all. She just kept crying to me. Of course, she cried about Tony, that irresponsible jerk. She cried and scolded him. I thought she would see through that man's treachery, but to my surprise, she was so foolish as to let him charm her back again. And she even gave him the position of vice president. Haley surely remembered what her dad had said before he passed. Henry said that Haley should listen to me and that it would be best if she could marry me and live happily ever after. I agreed, and Haley cried in agreement too. Haley fell silent at first, then suddenly erupted. "Are you done? You always use my dad's words to pressure me. You're really annoying. Tony cares about whether I'm tired or hungry, but you only care about my studies. I'm a thinking person, not just a dog that obeys. I'm telling you, I like Tony. I want to marry Tony. Our engagement is hereby canceled." I coldly pressed, "Haley, are you serious?" Haley angrily replied, "Yes, I mean it." I stepped back, raised my voice, and said, "Everyone here has heard. Haley said our engagement is canceled. I, Rocky, agree to this as well. I will issue a notice of withdrawal soon, and I ask everyone to be a witness." The crowd was stunned, but only Tony showed unhidden glee on his face. Haley was taken aback, perhaps not expecting me, who had always cared for her, to let go so easily. After a moment, Tony anxiously nudged her. "Haley, Rocky has said so. Aren't you going to make your position clear?" Regaining her composure, Haley looked at me, biting her lip defiantly. "I will also issue a notice of withdrawal. From now on, we are just strangers. Please do not harass me anymore." I gave a self-deprecating smile, then left H Corporation. What a ridiculous assistant. Go to hell. With his half-baked abilities, he thinks I would work for him? It's not that I'm belittling him, but his university grades were pitiful. He had to retake half his courses, not to mention he was in the wrong major. His relationship with Haley was merely to climb the social ladder, to soar to success in one leap. If he had any ability to manage a company, I could write my name backward. For these years, I had been so busy for H Corporation that I even had to step back from my own or corporation, since Haley no longer needed me. I naturally shifted my focus back to our corporation. Without H Corporation, I no longer had to shuttle between the two companies, and my work became much lighter. I used to be busy until midnight, but now I could leave on time. In the evenings, I even had the leisure to watch movies and enjoy a glass of red wine. It was incredibly pleasant, but unfortunately, Tony is useless. In just a week, the project parties I signed started calling, questioning me about the product quality, which was subpar and completely different from what we agreed on. I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? It was obvious that Tony was up to no good. I calmed the project party down with a gentle tone, then immediately headed to H Corporation. After all, this project was my responsibility. Even if I wasn't working there anymore, I had to clean up after it. Upon arriving at H Corporation, many people were running around in a frenzy. As soon as my subordinates saw me, they began venting their frustrations. "Boss, you're finally back. This work is just unbearable." Exactly. Exactly. Tony, to showcase his abilities, decided to cut product costs. That's fine, but he went to buy materials from companies with terrible reputations, resulting in products that are unacceptable. We don't want to send out this batch, but Tony insists that the client won't pursue these minor flaws, forcing us to deliver the goods. Boss Henry said whoever complains will be kicked out, so we dared not speak. But now the client is claiming false advertising, wanting to terminate the contract, and threatening to sue us. What should we do, boss? How dare he pass off inferior goods? Tony really has guts. In business, reputation is paramount. What he's doing will certainly ruin H Corporation. I walked into the office and punched Tony to the ground. His nose instantly bled, and his left cheek swelled up. Damn it, Rocky. How dare you hit me? I'm hitting you. You ignorant fool who doesn't know anything, but tries to dictate. I threw another punch at his right cheek, his whole face swelling like a pig's head. Haley hurried over, stopping me from making another move. She anxiously checked Tony's face, then glared at me in anger. Rocky, how dare you hit Tony? How dare I? Haley, don't you know what he did? Haley's breath caught, clearly realizing Tony was at fault, but she still said defiantly, Tony is inexperienced. What does one failure mean? Then her attitude shifted as she sweetly tugged at my sleeve. Rocky, H Corporation is what it is today because of your hard work. You wouldn't want it to suffer any turmoil over this project, would you? So please, take charge and explain to the client. Having known her for so many years, Haley knew just how to manipulate me. Every time she asked for something, she would softly call out Rocky, and I would agree to her every request. Although I didn't want to deal with this mess, I couldn't ignore the fact that this project took many sleepless nights to secure with my subordinates. No matter what, I couldn't let everyone suffer because of that dog, Tony. I took a deep breath, grabbed the project documents from the table, and left. After I finished talking with the client and returned, I saw Tony, his face wrapped in bandages, smiling while wincing in pain. I'm so sorry, Rocky. Haley has already said that this project's performance is counted on me, so congratulations, you're just making me a wedding dress. I reminded him coldly, if you can't even keep your tongue straight, do you want me to help you correct it with my fist? Tony stepped back in fear, clearly aware of my strength. What a weakling, truly a disgrace to manhood. Seeing my expression, Haley quickly shielded Tony. Rocky, look at what you've done to Tony. He hasn't reported you to the police. Out of respect for the past, do you really want to hit him again? Report me to the police? Looking at the nonsense he did, does he dare? I was too lazy to say such pointless things, and simply asked, did he just say you were giving him this performance? Haley paused for a moment, then confidently said, you're so capable. Why do you need this little money? Tony just started. He's unfamiliar with everything. What's wrong with giving him this performance? I scoffed, glancing at the cowardly Tony hiding behind her. Haley, isn't it the case that in this society, the capable should take charge? When did we start playing? Whoever is weaker has a reason. Your family has so much money. Why haven't I seen any given to the poor? Haley's face turned awkward for a moment. Then she shouted back, I am the one in charge of H Corporation. All company decisions are made by me. If I say he gets it, then he gets it. Who are you to question me? Employees of H Corporation, who had arrived after hearing the noise, all went silent. I looked at Haley without saying anything, and Haley glared back defiantly.
没有，我只是在好奇你的厨艺怎么样。他傲娇的自夸，我可是苦学过的，绝对能和5星级大厨肩并肩。我原本以为他就是会窃窃水果的程度，怕他把厨房炸了，我想进去帮忙，还被他赶了出来。直到真的吃到他做的红烧排骨，吃下第一口后，他屏住呼吸，期待地看着我。我向他比了个大拇指，然后迅速扒饭。原来他说的还是谦虚的，5星级大厨都没他做的好吃。我不顾形象的吃的肚子溜圆，只能半躺在沙发上喘气。Serena 戳戳我的脸，小样，打脸的滋味怎么样？我知错认错，迅速拱手。女侠大人大量，别和小的一般见识。他坐在我身边，笑眯眯地问：“怎么样？要不要住下来？以后天天有好吃的，不重样的哦。”我心痛地拒绝了。再好吃，我也不至于为了这口吃的去耽误人家姑娘。还以为能把你骗回家呢。Serena 完全没有在外面女强人的样子，哭闹了好一会儿。我终于忍不住投降。小姑奶奶，除了这个，其他事我都可以答应。想了想，我又迅速补充：同居、恋爱、订婚还有结婚都不行，不提前说好，我还真怕自己的清白不保。Serena 瞬间不孬 闹了，走吧，陪我逛街去。手一擦，眼泪消失得干干净净。卧槽，这女人是在假哭诓我呀。ChatGPT 说 ChatGPT, I held back my anger and said, Haley, Tony is an art student. He doesn't understand management. If you let him handle it, he will ruin H Corporation. Haley looked at me with disdain and said, Who says that? I've also studied management. With me teaching him, Tony is smart enough. He'll definitely pick it up quickly. She will teach him? Did she forget her poor grades? The second last teaching the last one? How could she even say that out loud? But now, Haley is completely blinded by Tony, ignoring everything else. I'm tired of lecturing. I placed the documents on the table and said, This is the last time. From now on, the fate of H Corporation has nothing to do with me. Tony shouted angrily, Fine. Who do you think you are anyway? The world spins just the same without you. Even if H Corporation doesn't have you, Haley will still be here, and it will develop even better. Haley was momentarily startled, but Tony's words gave her renewed courage, and she loudly said, Exactly. Everyone only knows about Vice President Rocky, but no one realizes I am the real boss, Henry's daughter. I've had enough of you. Get out. So, this is it. Haley thinks my presence undermines her authority in the company. But does she ever think about how, every time I asked her to study, she would only go shopping or attend fashion shows, ignoring all my words? I had no choice but to bear the burden of H Corporation on my own, one by one, seeking out clients, drinking, socializing, dealing with difficult customers. Where was she during all of this? It's fair to say that H Corporation's current scale is due, in no small part, to my efforts. But now, for the sake of a man who abandoned her at H Corporation's time of crisis, she's kicking me out of the company. I gave Haley one last long look, then turned and left without looking back. Before, because of H Corporation, I had always put my our corporation second. Now that this burden is gone, I'm planning to expand our corporation's business overseas. Boss Rocky, Miss Serena is here. Let her in. I hung up the internal call with my assistant and rubbed my temples, feeling a slight headache. Serena is the heiress of S Corporation. Like Haley, she is also the only daughter of her family. But the difference is, she has a sharper business mind than her father, and S Corporation has flourished under her leadership. Serena walked in and casually sat across from me. It's been a while, Boss Rocky. She wore a red dress, her makeup fierce and domineering, with her voice lingering in the air with a playful tone. To say she's a stunner wouldn't be an exaggeration. I almost lost my balance and fell. Frowning, I looked at her and said, Can you act normal? Serena pouted, pretending to be aggrieved. Fine, Rocky. I'm here to ask, have you really broken it off with Haley? I twitched my lips. Of course, she would ask this. Serena continued in her usual slow manner. Both our corporation and H Corporation have announced the broken engagement on their websites, so it must be true. But what I want to know is, have you really let her go in your heart? I replied casually, it was just a loveless relationship, even if I wanted to dwell on the past. One day is enough. Haley isn't worth my time now. Serena raised an eyebrow. So, in that case, does that mean I can finally pursue you now? I rubbed my forehead. Why do you always say this every time we meet? Serena and I met at an auction 3 years ago. As soon as she saw me, she asked if I had a girlfriend and said she wanted to pursue me. I bluntly told her I had a fiancée. After learning about my engagement to Haley, she openly said, Haley isn't right for you. Of course, I knew she wasn't, but back then, I had already given my word to Mr. Henry and was engaged to Haley, so there was no turning back. I was determined to act as Haley's fiancé, so after I realized Serena had feelings for me, I kept my distance from her. Serena is smart. She understood my silent rejection, so she didn't bother me again. But whenever we ran into each other, she would joke, Rocky, if you ever break up with Haley, don't forget there's a Serena who's been waiting for you. When Haley found out, she threw a huge tantrum. After that, to avoid trouble, I tried to decline any events where S Corporation was present. Serena leaned on my desk, her eyes seductive. Rocky, I've liked you for a long time. Before, you were engaged, so I didn't want to interfere. But now you're single. There's nothing unethical about me chasing you, right? I said. She had a point, but I wanted to focus on my career. In the end, I couldn't resist Serena and let her drag me out. She claimed it was a dinner date to foster feelings, but instead of going to a restaurant, she took me to the supermarket to buy groceries, saying she would cook. I had my doubts. A delicate heiress didn't seem to belong in a kitchen. Haley, for example, only
knew how to eat. If it wasn't the nanny cooking, it was me. She couldn't even tell the difference between soy sauce and peanut oil. Green vegetables, ribs, mushrooms, bell peppers. Serena tossed them into the cart one by one. All my favorite foods. How does she know what I like to eat? We've never had a meal together before. Or do we just share the same taste? Serena snorted. What's with that look? Is it so hard to figure out what your crush likes? I coughed. No. I was just curious about your cooking skills. She proudly boasted. I've trained hard. I can cook as well as a 5-star chef. I thought she'd probably only know how to slice fruit. Afraid she'd blow up the kitchen, I tried to help, but she kicked me out. Then, I tasted her braised pork ribs. After the first bite, she held her breath and eagerly watched me. I gave her a thumbs up and immediately started devouring the meal. Turns out she had been humble. Even a 5-star chef couldn't beat her cooking. I ate until my belly was full and could only half lie on the couch, panting. Serena poked my face. So, how does it feel to get slapped in the face? I admitted my defeat and quickly raised my hands in surrender. Lady Serena, please don't hold it against me. She sat beside me, smiling sweetly. So, how about moving in with me? I'll cook for you every day, and it won't be the same dish twice. With a heavy heart, I declined. No matter how good the food was, I couldn't let her waste her time on me. Ugh, I thought I could trick you into moving in. Serena, no longer the powerful businesswoman she appeared to be, pouted and complained for quite a while. I finally gave in and said, all right, I'll agree to anything except living together, dating, getting engaged, or getting married. I quickly added, just in case she had any ideas. I had to protect my dignity. Serena immediately stopped pouting. Fine, come on, let's go shopping. She wiped her face, and all her tears disappeared instantly. What the hell? Was she fake crying just to trick me? I've never gone shopping with a woman before, not even with Haley. Usually, I would just arrange for things to be sent to Haley's house for her to choose. This was the first time, and today, I finally realized that women's energy while shopping is truly limitless. Even going through a day of paperwork isn't this exhausting. My legs are about to give out, but Serena is still enthusiastically trying on clothes. I just want to collapse on the sofa and rest for a bit, but she insists on asking after trying on each outfit if it looks good. How does it look? You're so beautiful. You'd still look stunning even in a burlap sack. You smooth talker. Me, another beautiful dress. How about this one? Having learned my lesson from last time, I answered carefully. This one's not great. You have a dominant, regal style, but this dress is too cute. It doesn't suit you. Are you still thinking about that cute and innocent girl, Haley? Me, she's way harder to please than Haley. I'm so tempted to storm out. In the end, I gave up. If she asked if it looked good, I'd clap. If she wanted me to praise her, I'd shower her with compliments. This method worked like a charm, and she beamed with joy. I sighed in relief. Women, truly terrifying. After my arms were laden with shopping bags of all sizes, Serena finally showed some mercy and said the words I most wanted to hear. One more store, then we can go. Serena pulled me into a watch store. She was mostly looking at men's watches, occasionally asking me which ones looked good. I suddenly remembered that Serena's father's birthday was coming up in 6 months. She was probably looking for a birthday gift, so I perked up and gave her my opinions on each one. At that moment, a familiar voice rang out. Well, if it isn't the unemployed Rocky. What are you doing here, working as a sales clerk? Is this the year of the dog? Why am I running into dogs everywhere I go? I responded blandly, handsome people can make money anywhere. Your jealousy is only natural. Tony's face turned green. You went from vice president to sales clerk, and you still have the nerve to brag. I shrugged. Why wouldn't I? It just shows I'm better looking than you. People everywhere want to hire me. As I said this, I gave him a once-over. Look at you. Droopy eyes, upturned nose, pig ears. Your messy eyebrows and ugly face are an embarrassment. If I were you, I'd hide at home. Tony was so furious at my string of insults that his chest heaved, but he quickly regained his composure, smugly boasting. Fine, you can look down on me all you want, but in the end, Haley chose me, not you. You're jobless now. You probably can't even afford rent. How about I spend a bit more here and give you some sales to help you out? I hadn't even responded when I was interrupted. And who do you think you are, daring to insult my boyfriend? Serena stormed out of the fitting room, her high heels clicking sharply on the floor. Seeing Serena, a flash of lust and admiration crossed Tony's eyes. His gaze at me was venomous. Rocky, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you'd find yourself a new woman so quickly. Serena snapped back without hesitation. You're just jealous that Rocky is more handsome than you. Instead of being sour, why don't you go look in a mirror? Comparing you to Zhu Beiji is an insult to him. Tony's beady eyes bulged as he shouted, "How dare you insult me? Do you know who I am?" triumphed. I don't care who you are. There's no one in this world I can't insult. Sick of looking at Tony's hideous face, I instructed the store manager, throw him out and don't let him in again. Tony's expression shifted, but he quickly laughed mockingly. Rocky, do you still think you're the vice president of H Corporation? Do you think you can still act high and mighty here? Who do you think you are? He mimicked me and said to the manager, I'm the vice president of H Corporation now. Throw him out. I don't want to see him here. Serena and I remained completely unfazed, not even budging. The manager didn't even glance our way, but made a gesture to Tony. Sir, please leave. You are not welcome here. Tony couldn't believe it and yelled, Are you deaf? I told you to throw him out, not me. The manager's posture didn't change. Sir, please leave. Everyone in the store, including the sales clerks and us, stared at him. Tony's face turned beet red. I'm the vice president of H Corporation. Do you believe I can shut down your store right now? The manager calmly signaled to the staff, if the gentleman refuses to leave on his own, don't blame us for taking action. Several male clerks swiftly surrounded Tony and escorted him out, despite his loud protests. Serena sighed. Is this Haley's taste in men? Looks like her family is truly in decline. In the past, I would have been worried, but now, none of it concerned me. Not 10 minutes later, Tony came back, this time with Haley in tow. The moment she saw Serena and me sitting together, her expression darkened. Rocky, why are you with Serena? I calmly shot back. What does it have to do with you? Haley, furious, pointed at Serena. Do you know this woman has stolen several major projects from H Corporation recently? She's our enemy. Serena leaned against me, looking as innocent as a little bird, and taunted. Little sister, Rocky is my boyfriend now. He's not part of your we. Do you really think he'll help you anymore? What? Rocky, how dare you betray me? Serena, you slut. How dare you go after my fiancé? Enough. I sternly interrupted Haley's barrage of insults. Miss Haley, Serena is my friend. Please don't project your filthy thoughts onto us. Also, we've already called off our engagement, so stop misleading people by calling me your fiancé. I didn't care what she said about me, but the moment she insulted Serena, I couldn't hold back my anger. She had been the one to say we were over, and now she was lashing out like a mad dog. Ridiculous. Tears welled up in Haley's eyes, clearly not expecting me to be so blunt with her. To prevent Haley from pursuing me again, Tony quickly stepped forward, grabbing her hand and complaining, Darling, Rocky and that woman ganged up on me earlier. They had the manager kick me out. You have to stand up for me. Ugh, so annoying. Too lazy to respond, I ordered the clerks to throw Tony and Haley out together. Serena raised an eyebrow. This store is yours? I didn't know you had any business in this sector. That's a friend's shop. I just own some shares, that's all. So, Boss Rocky, can you give me a freebie? She lay on my chest, drawing circles with her fingers, while the fragrance from her hair kept drifting into my nose. Damn, this temptress really knows how to play. I quickly stepped back a bit. Take whatever you want, just put it on my tab. Serena wasn't shy, taking a total of 4 watches. 2 men's, 2 women's. After dropping her off at home and preparing to leave, she stopped me and handed me a small square box. Looking down, I saw it was a packaging box from that watch store. Serena nodded at the box. This is a gift just for you. I already paid for it. She wasn't short on money, so I accepted the watch and left. As soon as I got in the car, Serena spoke again. Rocky, you've fallen for me. I paused for a moment and drove off in a hurry. Lately, I've been feeling a little off. Specifically, Serena has been constantly on my mind. Her laughter, her anger, her every expression. I glanced at the watch in my drawer, took it out, and rubbed it for a long time before putting it on my wrist. But when I recalled Serena's bold declaration that she was going to pursue me, I took it off and shoved it back into the drawer. I just can't understand it. Serena's just a bit prettier, a bit more capable, and a bit more protective. So why is she constantly on my mind? My assistant's voice sounded quietly, Boss, you're in love, even if you don't realize it. I froze, looking up at him. When did you get here? He covered his face. Boss, my documents are still with you waiting for your signature. I was stunned for a moment. Oh right, he brought the documents earlier for me to sign. But in the middle of signing, my mind was completely occupied by Serena. It seems I even spoke my thoughts aloud, and my assistant overheard everything. I quickly signed the documents and handed them over. As he was about to leave, I suddenly asked, What did you just hear? He tactfully turned around and made a gesture as if zipping his lips. I nodded. Good. His bonus this year will be doubled. Just as I was about to call Serena Serena, my phone started buzzing with messages, all from my old colleagues at H Corporation. I can't believe it. Tony doesn't understand the reports, can't grasp the technical terms, and yet he's still giving orders. If he's not qualified, he shouldn't hold the position. Every day, he and Henry put on this ridiculous drama at the company. I swear, it's so embarrassing. I can't even watch. Just earlier, Tony threw a tantrum at a client, and they were so angry they went to S Corporation instead. Rocky, are you really not coming back? The company's in chaos without you. We can't manage without you. This was all within my expectations. Tony is a complete art school graduate, a total underachiever. Haley, despite me forcing her to study management, never really focused on it. Not long ago, several companies took away projects from H Corporation. Serena snatched up 3 of them herself. Under Tony and Haley, H Corporation doesn't have long left. At that moment, Serena called. Rocky, want to grab dinner? Of course, I'd love to. As I reached the parking lot, someone suddenly dashed out to block my way. It was Haley. She looked very different from the carefree, lively girl she used to be. Now, she seemed worn out, her hair a bit messy, her face pale, and the sparkle in her eyes was gone. But what does that have to do with me? I sidestepped her and kept walking. Haley rushed over again to block my path. Rocky, I miss you so much. Please come back. I looked at her coldly. Do you miss me? Or do you miss how I used to babysit you and manage both the company and your family so you could live carefree, only knowing how to spend money? She bit her lip and pleaded softly. Rocky, I really do miss you. Can we go back to how things were? You should take charge of H Corporation again. Without you, I really can't handle it. Now that part was the truth. As far as I knew, since I left, H Corporation hadn't landed a single decent project. During the years I managed it, profits grew year after year. But in just 2 months under their control, profits had begun to decline and several branches had even shut down. A lot of people were critical of Tony for pushing me out. Tony, unable to bear the gossip, was determined to make a big move to silence his critics. He brought in some big shot from who knows where and signed a major contract with H Corporation. At the signing dinner, Tony acted like the big boss's buddy, even claiming that if H Corporation delivered quality work, there would be long-term partnerships. Tony basked in the glory at the office for a while, but after the goods were delivered, that big boss disappeared without paying the balance. His phone number was deactivated, and neither Tony nor Haley could track him down. The company was already bleeding money, and this incident only made things worse. After paying the employees, H Corporation's cash flow completely dried up. Haley, Tony, and a few assistants went to the bank for a loan. The bank manager was a sleazy man who liked to drink and harass women. Tony couldn't stomach the humiliation, and Haley, spoiled as she was, could handle it even less. They ended up pouring a bottle of liquor over the manager's head. The manager, enraged, left with a parting shot. You two better forget about getting a loan in this lifetime. What a pair of losers. After leaving the bank, Haley and Tony started arguing. You're completely useless. You haven't closed a single deal, and now we can't even get a loan. Why am I supporting you? Tony, already fuming, snapped back, "Oh, you're one to talk. You promised you'd help me make money, but you're nothing but an idiot. Remember, it was you who chased Rocky away in the first place. If you miss him so much, go find him." "Fine, I will. We're through." Tony sneered. "Fine by me. I'll enjoy watching you go bankrupt and see if Rocky still wants you." The video ended there. After sending me this video, my assistant at H Corporation resigned, and I brought him over to our corporation, where he now works as my assistant. After watching for a while, Haley started crying and grabbed my arm, shaking it. "Brother Rocky, if you don't come back, H Corporation is really done for. Have you forgotten your promise to my dad to take care of me and H Corporation?" I frowned, pulled my arm away, and said, "Haley, you're an adult now. You have to take responsibility for what you said. It was you who personally drove me out of the company, so naturally, you must bear the consequences." Haley's face was smeared with tears. "Brother Rocky, I know you care about Tony. I've already broken up with him and kicked him out of the company. Let's start over. Let's get married. I'll settle down as your wife. Please come back, will you?" I coldly took a few steps back. "Sorry, there's no going back for us." When she credited Tony for my achievements, when she drove me out of H Corporation for him, there was no going back. I don't care about the money, but I can't stand her rubbing my face in the dirt for Tony time and again, even attributing everything I did for her to some scheme to seize power in H Corporation. Haley screamed hysterically, "Brother Rocky, you promised you'd take care of me. You can't go back on your word. And what about H Corporation? You did so much for it. Can you bear to watch it go bankrupt?" So, she does know how much I did for H Corporation, but what's the use of reminiscing now? I'd rather go buy groceries than and listen to her wail here. Lately, Serena has been ordering me around more and more. To enjoy her food, I have to bring my own ingredients. If I don't hurry, all the vegetables will be snatched up by the aunties. Tired of listening to her rambling, I walked past her. When I started the car, Haley clung to the window, desperate. "Rocky, don't go. Have you forgotten your promise to my dad? If you leave, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." Uninterested in her empty threats, I immediately drove off, leaving her far behind. In less than 2 days, I found out what Haley meant by making me regret. Haley posted a long rant online, accusing me of failing to honor Henry's help by not marrying his daughter and not assisting her in saving H Corporation. The essay downplayed her role in driving me out of H Corporation, focusing instead on portraying me as ungrateful, avoiding H Corporation's troubles, and even verbally abusing her. Countless netizens swarmed our corporation's website, calling me a backstabber and heartless villain. They even threatened to boycott our corporation's products, wishing me bankruptcy. Several business partners also halted their contracts, waiting to see what happened next. The few who spoke up for me were drowned out by hired trolls. Serena was pacing back and forth in my office in anger. "This is infuriating. You worked so hard for H Corporation, yet she kicked you out for some trash, and now she has the nerve to play the victim. Is Haley a complete ingrate?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Stop pacing. Stop pacing. Doesn't it make you dizzy?" Serena's cheeks puffed up in anger, like a little pufferfish. "Rocky, I'm angry for your sake. How can you still laugh when you've been slandered like this?" Why wouldn't I laugh? The higher she stands now, the harder she'll fall soon. Her eyes sparkled. "You've got a plan?" Of course I had a plan, but it wasn't time yet. While I waited for the right moment, Haley called. "Rocky, now our corporation is in the same dire straits as H Corporation. How about this? Come back, and I'll clear your name. We're still engaged, after all." Serena grabbed my phone and snapped back. "Haley, are you brainless? Do you really think a little online gossip can bring Rocky down? You think everyone is as dumb as you?" "Serena, why are you at Rocky's place? First, you stole my projects. Now you're stealing my man? You filthy woman. This isn't over." La, come on then. I'm right here in Rocky's bed. And by the way, Rocky is amazing." I grabbed the phone with a dark expression and hung up. "Please, stop making things worse. My reputation was already bad enough." Sure enough, within 10 minutes, Haley posted another rant about Serena and me. The essay was full of scandalous innuendo about us, which Serena saved gleefully, saying she wanted to play out each scenario. She even praised Haley as a master of spicy writing. Out of curiosity, I looked up what PO1 meant, and as soon as I found out, I rushed to send Serena home. Once the situation had heated up enough, I quickly wrote my own post and had the PR department release it. The gist was that, yes, I owed a debt of gratitude to Henry, so I agreed to marry Haley and support H Corporation. But it was Haley herself who called off the engagement, which the employees at H Corporation could testify to. Also, I had promised Henry to support H Corporation for 10 years. The day I left H Corporation was exactly 10 years to the day from the time I made that promise. I attached a signed document from both Henry and myself, witnessed by our lawyers. It was undeniable proof. As soon as that was out, Serena stirred the pot even more by posting a video of Haley kicking me out of H Corporation with Tony's help. The internet exploded. Suddenly, I went from being vilified to being seen as a victim, someone who worked tirelessly for H Corporation and received nothing in return, only to be publicly humiliated and kicked out. Who could stand that? Haley's actions sent shockwaves through the business world. Many companies still working with H Corporation announced that they would terminate their contracts soon. Others whose contracts were nearing expiration chose not to renew. If they could kick me out after 10 years of loyalty, how could they trust that they wouldn't be next? Many companies quickly pounced on H Corporation, while even Serena poached some of their key talents. I didn't kick H Corporation while it was down, which was my way of repaying Henry for his help. Haley kept calling me, but I blocked her. She even tried to storm into our corporation to find me, but the security I'd instructed kept her out. To avoid seeing her, I moved and became neighbors with Serena, frequenting her place to mooch food. The last thing I heard about Haley and Tony was online. Seeing that H Corporation was finished and he could no longer leech off Haley, Tony sold confidential business secrets to a competitor. Haley was already selling off her assets to try one last gamble to save H Corporation, but Tony's betrayal sealed her fate. H Corporation was acquired by another company, and Haley's family's decades of hard work vanished. In just 4 months, Haley had lost everything. Learning about Tony's betrayal, Haley stabbed him to death at home under cover of night. Then she jumped off H Corporation's building, ending as nothing more than a bloody mess. A small hand covered my phone screen. A soft voice came from above my head. Don't look anymore. It's all in the past. I held Serena's hand and pulled her into my arms. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.